Once upon a time, in the prestigious Delta State University, ABRAKA, there lived a group of friends, bold, beautiful, untouchable. They were known across Delta State University as the Gen Z baddies. They were inseparable, always wore the trendy clothes, and had the latest gadgets ever released. They were a movement. To their classmates, they were just social butterflies. After all, they barely missed classes. To their parents, they were obedient daughters, focused on their academics and dreams. But unknown to them, every weekend after lectures, their real lives began. Lives filled with secrets, getaways, sugar daddies, quick money, glamorous lifestyle, and silent lies. In this friend group, there was Okay, the one with all the connections, the bold leader. And then there was Effie, the intelligent one with a very wild side. There was Tonya, the fashionista of the group with a sugar daddy obsession. There was Mirabelle, soft-spoken, innocent-looking girl with a wild side. There was Sandra, the comedian of the group. She made sin sound like fun. And then there was Adora, the baby of the group, just 18 years old. She gained admission quite early. She was naive and desperate to fit in. Every Friday evening after lectures, while others studied or slept, they packed bags laced with perfume and clothes and waited for their pickup cars, which was usually provided by their hosts. And then off to ASABA, a 2 hours distance from ABRAKA they went. And if any family member called while they were out on their weekend spree, they would say, "We are sleeping at a friend's hostel to study for our exams," just so no one would suspect. And when the coast was clear, they would head out to the club and party all weekend with older men, politicians, celebrities, most of which sponsored their expensive lifestyle. At first, it wasn't only about the money. It was about the thrill, the power of turning heads as beautiful young girls, the intoxication of being desired by every man, the Snapchat updates, the Instagram pictures, the TikTok uploads, the night clubs, the alcohol. They were the happening girls. Their mantra was pretty and living life. And after the weekend getaway, they returned back to school on Sunday evening like nothing happened, giggling over shared secrets, showing off their new phones, their new wigs, and wads of cash. And by Monday, they continued their academics like nothing happened. And then the next Friday, the circle continued. They would head to Police Station Junction to board a commercial bus off to ASABA. And by Sunday evening, they returned back to campus. Until one weekend, everything changed. It was a Friday evening, and the girls were excited for their trip. They packed beautiful party clothes, makeup kits, and extra clothes for the weekend, more jewelries, and then they got dressed in their best outfits, high heels, lashes long enough to fly, makeup put in place, and as usual, none of their parents knew. They boarded a commercial bus from ABRAKA, chatting excitedly about a senator's son they were going to meet in ASABA. Halfway into the journey, it started to rain. It was light at first, and then gradually it became heavy with lightnings. The girls, unaware of what was about to happen, laughed and hyped themselves up, checking phones, fixing makeups, taking selfies, adding perfumes, just to look really good as soon as they landed ASABA. As the weather worsened, the driver, in a hurry trying to get to ASABA in time and wanting to beat the storm, the tires slid on the wet tar. The bus swerved, screams filled the air, then silence, darkness, and that was it. They had been involved in a fatal crash. After the crash, other road users rushed in to help the passengers to the hospital. Doctors and nurses rushing in with stretchers, with bodies covered. The scene was tense. When the news reached campus, the whole university was stunned. Their parents arrived quickly. They were shocked, shattered. Nobody had known, nobody had guessed. Adora's mother collapsed at the hospital door screaming, but she told me she was in school. Efe's mother cried and wept, and then much later, other parents arrived at the scene. The next thing Efe remembered was waking up in a hospital bed, in so much pain, her head pounding, her face, legs and arms were bandaged, a drip in her vein. She looked confused. And then, in a bed not so far from her was Mirabel, laying unconscious, breathing through tubes, and the other four gone. Oke was unalived at the spot. Sandra thrown out of the bus. Tonya passed away in the ambulance. Adora, the youngest, the most innocent, passed away at the hospital. Days passed, weeks passed, and then months passed. Efe, now a bit better, sat in the hospital beds for days, unable to eat. The guilt wrapped around her, the flashy lifestyle, the music, the men, none of it mattered anymore. She later learned that the senator's son they were so eager and in a hurry to meet never even showed up. A funeral was arranged for the girls with the families weeping, and a candle night followed suit by their classmates and friends back in school. Mirabel survived but was left with a permanent limp and confined to the wheelchair. Efe eventually healed physically but was left traumatized. She never healed emotionally, as most times she reflects on everything that happened. She looks through photos of her friends and flashes back constantly to that night on the bus when everything changed from happiness to sadness. Efe's life has since changed for the better as she constantly addresses younger girls at campus events on the dangers of living recklessly and how she lost 4 of her good friends and almost lost her life in the process. And just like that, 6 friends who gained admission into Delta State University made the wrong choices that altered their life. What this story lets us know is that one trip can end the journey of life, and sometimes not all that glitters is gold. Share your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.